Have you ever come face to face with pure evil? When I was in 7th grade, Mr. Brandt was the coolest teacher at Jefferson Middle School. He brought bags of candy to class every Friday, let us watch movie clips during lessons, and somehow remembered every single student's birthday. He had this weird talent for making the troubled kids feel special, the ones other teachers ignored or gave up on. My best friend Jess was going through a rough patch that year. Her older brother Tyler had anger issues and would hit her when their parents weren't around. She never told anyone except me, and I promised to keep it secret. Jess started staying after school more often, hanging out in Mr. Brandt's classroom doing extra credit work. I thought it was good for her since she was struggling in most of her classes. But around October, something changed. Jess stopped laughing at my jokes. She'd flinch when people walked up behind her. During lunch, she'd stare at her food instead of eating it. When I asked what was wrong, she'd just shake her head and change the subject. One day after PE, I found her crying in the locker room. When I pressed her about what happened, she looked around to make sure we were alone, then whispered, "He knows things about me. Stuff I never told anyone." I asked who she meant. "Mr. Brandt," she said, her voice barely audible. That's when she told me about the group chat. Mr. Brandt had created this secret messaging group where he pretended to be different teenagers. Sometimes a girl named Ashley who was dealing with depression. Sometimes a boy named Jake who had family problems. He'd gain kids' trust by sharing fake stories about similar struggles, then slowly pull out their real secrets. Jess had opened up to Ashley about Tyler hitting her. She thought she was talking to another student who understood what she was going through. But then Mr. Brandt started asking her to stay after school. When she tried to say no, he'd casually mention how terrible it would be if the school counselor found out about her home situation, how child services might get involved, how her parents might blame her. I felt sick. I told Jess we had to tell someone, but she begged me not to. "No one will believe us," she said. "He's everyone's favorite teacher." She was right. When I tried talking to my mom about it, she just said I must be misunderstanding something. When I hinted to other teachers that Mr. Brandt seemed too close with certain students, they looked at me like I was crazy. "He's just passionate about helping kids," they'd say. So I got smart about it. I created a fake Instagram account using some random girls' photos I found online. I made up a backstory about having an alcoholic dad and struggling with anxiety. Then I found the group chat Jess had mentioned and requested to join. It took about a week, but Ashley started messaging me privately. She was so understanding, so caring. She knew exactly what to say to make me feel heard. Over the next few weeks, I fed her more and more details about my fake life. And slowly, Mr. Brandt started revealing himself. First, he suggested we meet in person. When I said I was nervous, he offered his classroom after school as a safe space. Then he started asking weird questions about whether I'd ever thought about keeping certain friendships secret from parents, whether I knew how mature I was for my age. The breakthrough came when he sent me a voice message one night. He forgot to disguise his voice, and I recognized Mr. Brandt immediately. My hands were shaking as I saved every single message, every photo he'd sent, every screenshot of our conversations. I printed everything out and put it in a manila envelope. Then I made copies and sent them to the principal, the school board, the police, and even called the local newspaper tip line. I signed everything with my real name and phone number. The next week was chaos. Police officers showed up at school on Tuesday morning. By lunch, Mr. Brandt was gone. The principal called an assembly and said he was no longer with the district, but wouldn't say why.